Today marks the, I believe, fifth anniversary of the suicide bombing in Kabul, Afghanistan at Abbey Gate that killed 13 U.S. service members, 11 Marines, one Navy sailor, and one Army sailor. And I kind of just wanted to read off their names and remember them on the anniversary of this day. So those who paid who ended up paying the ultimate sacrifice in the end were Staff Sergeant Darren T. Hoover, Sergeant Johanny Rosario Picardo, Sergeant Nicole L. Gee, Corporal Hunter Lopez, Corporal Dagan W. Page, Corporal Humberto A. Sanchez, Lance Corporal David L. Espinoza, Lance Corporal Jared M. Schmitz, Lance Corporal Riley J. McCullum, Lance Corporal Dylan R. Marola, and Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nikawi. And then from the Navy, it was Hospital Corpsman Third Class Maxton W. Soviak. And then Army, and then from the Army, we had Staff Sergeant Ryan C. Kaus. May all their memories be a blessing, and they are heroes.
Thank you for doing that. Do you have any comments on what? Because I hear a lot of people say that there was a Biden betrayal that made this happen.
That was a Biden clusterfuck.
Can you
That was
comment
one
on
of the
that?
worst. I mean, I don't know the exact specifics, but from all the reporting, I've seen, it was like, it was just a whole operation to withdraw from Afghanistan was botched from head to toe. We left billions of dollars of equipment in the hands of the Taliban. We weren't able to protect these 13 service members. I know there were service members like literally running for the airplanes, trying to get out on time, running from the Taliban moving in. It was a mess. And everyone who serves in general, but especially anyone who was involved in that is most definitely a hero.
Thank you so much for bringing that up.
Shanna wants to add something.
We also lost allies and supporters on the ground. People who were helping us were also murdered, sometimes in front of their own children. That we lost that day. So it was the calling it Biden clusterfuck. I mean, we betrayed everybody that was helping us by pulling out as fast as we did, to be honest. It wasn't just like, obviously our servicemen that died that day, it was horrible. I'm not trying to take anything away from that, what Alistair brought up, but I also just wanted to point out that we lost a lot of our allies and we lost a lot of trust with other people who would become allies, who could become allies, because people were just slaughtered for helping us. Translators, informants, people on the ground, sometimes in really horrific ways. It was really bad clusterfuck, to say the least. So I just wanted to add that in.
Okay, Jeffrey?
Trying to find I can find a screenshot of it later. So 100%, right? Almost everybody in the know, analysts inside and outside the US government, military, warned, do not disengage this way. You will kick off, the country's going to collapse. And because of if it does that, right, it's going to ring the dinner bell for every asshole in the world to go, wow, American resolve is crumbling. Now is the time to make our move. Whether it's Putin going into Ukraine and testing NATO, whether it's the Chi-Coms trying to assault Taiwan, the Mullah regime sprinting towards a bomb, the Alawite regime and its remnants and all the horrible shit it does in that area, North Korean Kim Il ping pong head terrorist, shake a stick, you'll hit an asshole. Right? Well, but what's the difference between what Biden did and President Trump? He was doing what just President Trump signed. No, cracker, no. President Trump definitely wanted to disengage. That was pursuant to conditions on the ground. Biden wanted to disengage by September 11th because he wanted the fucking photo op. Well, he sure as hell got one, because in direct opposition, the mirror opposite to what he said, folks, it's not going to be like, the fall of Saigon with people lifting off the embassy. Cracker, it was exactly like that, including with helicopters rescuing people off the embassy. You had people who were brave, like indigenous elements in Afghanistan that worked with my fellow soldiers at extreme personal risk to themselves and their family, like trying to get the hell out of there. That poor bastard who was holding on to the fucking wheel and just fell 1,000 feet to his death and shit. If it wasn't for Nick Parmigiano and people like Tim Kennedy and all the other tier 1 hard pipe hitting war fighters that did Operation Pineapple, independent of what Biden did, like they said, you know what? I don't care if it's fucking ordered or not. That person sat there and saved me and my entire squad when he gave us the actual intel to not get fucked up by a VBID initiated ambush. I'm not going to let Ahmed get fucking crucified by the Taliban or whatever other horrible shit's coming across the border. If it wasn't for that act, a lot more of those people would have died. And never mind all the shit we left there, right? Everybody focuses on the machine guns, which is bad. It's not strategically bad. You know what was really fucking concerning? The fact that there was numerous MAD-PAD shoulder-mounted anti-air missiles that were left there. And I remember saying to Nick Parmigiano, please tell me you sanitized that shit. Because if you got those going everywhere, there's a reason after the terrorist attack of September 11th, everybody looked at wow, we need to secure commercial airliners from, say, some douchebag terrorist firing a Stinger or some Eastern Soul Block version of it and taking down a fucking commercial airliner, some of which actually happens overseas. There's numerous times that's happened, right? There's a reason we pushed for the MAD-PAD treaty in 2002. Never mind all the fucking encrypted flash drives and laptops that they left there. And then all of a sudden you had the CIA talking about, gee, if you're one of our assets, because all of our assets are getting murdered everywhere, go to ground. Yeah. I mean, while Biden's reckless disengagement wasn't the sole reason for why we're in what we're in. That has a lot to do with a lot of failed policy amongst numerous administrations, mostly Democrat ones, enabled by their leftist allies in Congress, along with Ron Bot shit sticks on my side of the aisle. It definitely was the fuse that was lit to sit there and kick off all that shit, though. Definitely one of them, no doubt. And a lot of other people paid for that shit, including the people that got killed in the very terrorist attack that Alistair is mentioning. I'm glad you mentioned what you did, Shauna, because a lot of people that work with my fellow soldiers overseas, they paid for that shit with their ass because of that stupid shit. Again, maybe we should ask the fucking candidate for Ottawa's mayor about that shit. You got any feelings about that? About the guys that work with us in Afghanistan that got slaughtered by these Taliban shit sticks? Hey, but then again, Biden told us, hey, yeah, we're going to send over some skittle-haired fuckers to teach them about, I don't know, fucking being inclusive to alternatively orientated people. It was an amazing picture. They actually showed one of those stupid-ass DI slogans in a wall with bullet holes all in it and shit, with a Taliban asshole standing right next to it. I mean, there's literally, I don't know what more you need to encapsulate the failures of Biden's fucked up policy regarding that particular reckless withdrawal. And I want to be fair, there was a few people in Biden's administration that weren't fucked up. I have a lot of respect for Secretary of Defense General Lloyd Austin and Rear Admiral, Kirby. Tragically, they were all overridden by these Obama retread shit sticks that were calling the fucking shots.
All right. Thank you, Jeffrey.
That was
Uh,
amazing. That was amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Let's go to Cat Lady.
Yes. So I'm sorry. It's not only reckless and it's not only Biden. We have to say the truth. There is this overarching, like, long time tendency in the American government, all over from each side of the aisle, like whatever, to go with the strongman, no matter how horrible the strongman is in the long run, and simply not trust the most loyal allies. I'm not only talking about Israel. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Afghanistan. There were so many opportunities that were simply like beyond, like, oh, I didn't mean to fuck up. No, it's at some point, like when you're talking to Taliban and recognizing Taliban, and that's your ally, by the way, Americans, that's your ally today. Taliban is your ally, and you're giving them a lot of money every week, a lot of money, taxpayer money today, goes directly to Taliban. And when you are an ally of Syria, Al-Qaeda, which this will come back to haunt all of us one day, very soon, in a couple of years, you know that, but people are like thinking of monetary gain, and also seriously just trusting your enemies more for some reason. And even like Trump now, for many times by now, which is like, I cannot dismiss it, saying maybe Syria should go into Lebanon, which is making the Lebanese people shit their pants out of fear. Like, what is that? Like, this is like, and by the way, this is maybe a topic on its own, but I heard lately that the entire October 7th thing was actually planned by Taliban and Al-Qaeda. It was like a test run. And there's actually much more involved, and that maybe even the Israeli government is not telling everything, because some people, even on the live streams, were talking Pashto, which is like only Afghanistan, right? There is more, like, and when people say, "Oh, America is responsible for ISIS," it's like it's all an op. Of course, it's shit, but like, that's the grain of truth. Like, crazy. I don't get it.
Right, thanks, Cat Lady. Noah is next. Noah.
Yes, I agree that the pullout was a mess. I remember watching it live and everything, and watching people I went to school with who were in Afghanistan had to be, had to flee the country into Pakistan, and then into then finally made it back to the United States. It was a mess. And I remember what then Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said when he was on TV, saying, "No, this isn't like Saigon. This is nothing like Saigon." Yeah, you're right. It's worse. It was much worse. This was a lot worse. And we betrayed so many people by the way we pulled out. And now look at Afghanistan. It is completely governed by the Taliban, which means a lot of people dying, who died fighting in that war, potentially died in vain. And I'm still disgusted by that day. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
All right. Thanks, Noah. Back to Shona.
I also just want to point out too that the only people that were outside of that did anything to help because our government didn't help were people like Glenn Beck and other, I don't know if Elon was involved, he might have been, but there were millionaires and billionaires, American billionaires and millionaires who did personally fund trying to get some of our allies out and getting in safe passage places, like sent their own personal like helicopters and things over. So I just always want to you know, my hard capitalism always wants to like shout out to why sometimes billionaires and millionaires are a really good thing, and that they can help when our governments are retarded.
Okay. And I see one more too on this topic. Elisa.
Yeah, I just wanted to just comment quickly about what Noah said about you know, we spent 20 years in this sandbox, in this funky ass war, and then for it to end that way, I remember at the time thinking that I was heartsick more so for the Gold Star families, like all the fallen troops who paid the ultimate price in the Afghanistan war. And it's like what was it all for? You know what I mean? Like that's the part that I think is a hard pill to swallow. It's like we did all of that, especially when you compare that to how effective and lethal our military has been in prosecuting the Iran war, how smart we've fought this war, how successful it's been militarily. And it's like we could have always been this effective. But the people in charge just chose not to be. Just the rampant incompetence. It's really infuriating to think about.
Jeffrey.
So, and I found if you give me screen share, I'll show you exactly what I said prior to the reckless disengagement. Regardless of how it ended, right, with ideologues not listening to the military leadership and intelligence and analysts, and stealing regional defeat from the tactical and strategic victory. I'm going to touch on that in a minute. Nothing can take back what was purchased by our fellow soldiers' sacrifice, Alyssa. Do you know what they purchased? They purchased time. That's what they purchased. There's a reason that we took the approaches we did to try and best leverage the conventional military we had against the asymmetric threat that presented itself. Right? Strategically, it was very similar to the counterinsurgency tactic that the Green Berets created in the Vietnam conflict of bait, fix, and destroy. Couldn't meet them everywhere. There's no way to do that. France tried that in the 70s and turned France into a fucking armed camp. Well, yeah, you reduce things, you make it harder. Still, I mean, the terrorists get to pick when, where, and how if you take a purely defensive approach. So we went after the geographic regions that constituted a center of gravity, much of them rogue regimes like occupied, that derived the support structure for the sub-state transnational terrorist organizations we were fighting. Part of that, it wasn't that they're bait in the sense we hung people out to dry. There's a reason that Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld and Vice President Dick Cheney said, fight them over here, there, so you don't fight them here. No matter how much the regional goal was betrayed by those leftists, nothing can ever take back what was purchased by our buddies. While they were there were Afghani kids that didn't have to sit there and get brainwashed by the Taliban. Right? Justice was brought to not only those that played a role in killing our fellow citizens, also those that persecute the indigenous populations in those regions, whether it's Iraq or Afghanistan. Tragically, we were supposed to do so for Iran. We were supposed to hit the Mullah regime in 2005. Anyway, I just, if you give me screen share, I just want to share this.
I gave it to you if you want to.
Thank you. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Here it is. Yeah, okay, it's got a right there. That's the one. All right. So let me go to screen share. There it is. That's what I said. Hold on a second. I'll also show you the other three. I don't know why it's not showing those. Should. In any case, this is, I don't know why it's not transferring them. Anyway, that was the post that I shared with regards to, that was one of three. And I cited two particular textbooks that were assigned reading when I was at Georgetown that talks about strategic re-entrenchment by Gilpin, who's not an offensive maximal realist, by the way. Like, I didn't go to gogetembombem.com, right? If you strategically re-entrench and it signals a collapse of a key capability or intent, it stimulates every actor, every adversary to close in and press the advantage. And I named them. Putin will go into Mariam. The mullahs will sprint towards a bomb. I even gave alternative solutions of counterterrorism over the horizon counterterrorism, which again, some people in the Department of Defense correctly identified key capabilities. Do you know what happened though? The same thing that happened with every other fucking policy, the few that weren't fucked up. It got filtered through this DEI ESG horseshit pushed by these left-wing Obama retread assholes. Not only did it divert resources, more importantly, particularly with regards to this, it diverted institutional bandwidth. Instead of senior military leadership focusing on killing the fucking enemy, they were busy taking like DEI ESG sensitivity courses. Well, I mean, I feel bad for General Miley. He did the best he could to try and blunt damage from within. Well, think of how cringy that was. He's giving a statement to the Congressional Armed Services Subcommittee. Well, I want to make sure that what I mean about like your toxic white male syndrome, and I'm white. What the fuck? That's not your job. Kill the fucking enemy. That's your job. In this case, that job was operationally centered around over the horizon counterterrorism activity, not how do you facilitate DEI ESG bullshit in a Taliban, in an Afghanistan where the Taliban is reinsurgent, because they made it very clear what they thought about it. They put bullet holes all in the friggin' wall with your bullshit DEI ESG fucking slogan on it. You're trying to, I mean, I don't know what the fuck the goal of that is to make a kinder, gentler, more inclusive terrorist? What the fuck is that? So yeah, regardless of how it turned out regionally, Alyssa, nobody, and I mean nobody, can take away what was won by our fellow soldiers that sacrificed far more than me or you, because we're still alive. There's a reason people said, you didn't fail us. That was the message after that reckless disengagement, remember? It was those political assholes that undermined the military and intelligence hierarchy that told them not to do that shit.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeffrey. And now we'll go back to Alistair to close us out.
I was going to respond to something before, but I kind of got lost in Jeffrey's monologue there.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.